If there was a phrase that I could get rid of out of any individual who's in addiction recovery, it would be the phrase "I can't," or any version of that phrase. Really, what that phrase does is it absolves the individual in recovery of responsibility. Whether it be trying something new, whether it be attempting to have a vulnerable conversation with a betrayed partner, before an individual even tries to do it, they're already anticipating why it's not going to go well, and then they end up in the same place, which is, I can't do this. They've already come up with the conclusion that this is not going to go well, and I'm going to end up in a situation that I'm not looking good. And then we're having a conversation about why is your image more important than connecting with the person across from you. So for anybody who's struggling with pornography and sex addiction and in recovery, just be really careful and mindful of that phrase, I can't. It may be true that you're having a hard time. It may be true that you don't know how to. It may be true that you're scared. Like, all of those things are valid and realistic. However, I can't, all that does is it gives you an out. It gives you an escape hatch from having to do hard things and getting really uncomfortable. And honestly, recovery is all about leaning into the discomfort. I say this over and over and over again to my clients. Your discomfort is my guide, and discomfort needs to be your guide to tell you where you may need to go. It doesn't mean you have to be good at it. It doesn't mean it has to be proficient. And honestly, it means you need to let go of the outcomes, because when you try new things, you're most likely going to suck at it. I know for me, when I do something for the first time, I typically suck at it. I'm not proficient. I'm not good. It usually doesn't go super well. But the goal isn't for it to go well. The goal is to try something new, not to adapt to recovery and try to perform your way through it, but to be authentic and real. And you might authentically suck at being vulnerable. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal isn't to not have a perfect recovery. The goal is to have an honest and vulnerable recovery, which may mean, hey, I'm trying something new here. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to go into this and get uncomfortable. A lot of my clients want a quick fix or a solution to that which they can't, or the better way of putting it, that which they believe they can't. They want a textbook, a step-by-step guide, but really what ends up happening is they just create an image or a fictitious persona of, here's who I think you want me to be, and so I will just present myself as this. And now you're just performing and being an addict in recovery, and not a wise man in recovery, or not a wise adult in recovery, or a wise woman in recovery. You are just performing again. The goal is to not perform. Now, you may need some helpful tips and tricks to try to do new things, like engage in a vulnerable conversation about your acting out history, or to engage in a vulnerable conversation about how much you've hurt your betrayed partner and how much they're struggling with, how long this process takes, or how much money it's costed, or how much time it's taking away from other things in their life that they wish they would rather be doing. Maybe it's taking away from time with your children, or time from each other. Or maybe you had dreams to travel and those have been put on hold. Those conversations are super uncomfortable, and like, nobody wants to come to the table and say, hey, let's talk about how shitty I've made our lives. There are also conversations that need to happen, and they're conversations that you've probably been avoiding for a really long time. And so this verbiage, or this phrase, I can't, all that is doing is absolving you of being responsible to change. Change is super hard, and it is super uncomfortable. The more that you lean into that discomfort, the more that you choose to accept the fact that your path forward is going to be filled with a lot of discomfort, the quicker that change actually occurs, and the sooner that you'll be able to have, and really, a life that is much more fulfilling. And you'll begin to tolerate that discomfort more and more and more. And honestly, you might actually yearn for it at times, knowing what it produces. You'll have more experiences of what's on the other side of leaning into that discomfort, which is change. And when you get to experience that path of, I've spotted the discomfort, I'm leaning into it, and on the other side of that is some change, now you have a new pathway in your brain that has been formed that you get to follow more and more and more. And the stronger that you make that pathway, the more clear the path forward becomes. And you begin to accept the fact that discomfort is a part of life. It is going to happen. It is something that I can even choose actively as I become more proficient in spotting the discomfort that I experience in my own life on a day-to-day basis. And I can use that as my own guide to identify, where do I need to go next? What are the areas in my life that I have the most discomfort? What's going on there, and how do I lean into that discomfort so I can change something about myself that I think might be beneficial?